Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at Costco in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. Today is an exciting episode just because I'll be visiting several different Costco's. This one is particularly right off of the Dallas North Tollway in North Dallas, which is where I'm based at. And to my viewers and subscribers that are just coming to this channel, welcome. I call my viewers and subscribers Plant Foldies. And as you can see right over here, Costco has these 2-packs for $14.99. So ideally these plants are just going to be $14.99 as well as $15.99 right over here. Really like the look of this one right here. These are the Wild Interiors Curated Collection. So these are the ones I bought not too long ago for $15.99. This is a philodendron painted lady. Beautiful yellow neon leaves. I really like the look of this philodendron. And the care tips for this is also bright indirect light, water when the soil is completely dry. Love that philodendron. It's a pretty fast grower. In order for it to maintain its coloration, you need to provide it with quite a bit of light. Otherwise, it will end up looking like this one right here. So this is also a philodendron painted lady. Notice that some of the leaves have reverted back to green. So you have to make sure that you're providing it with quite a bit of light. Although I do think that that particular green philodendron might be mixed up with a philodendron painted lady. Over here is an Alocasia Ivory Coast. I like this one as well. I ended up buying one of these about a week and a half ago when I was out shopping at Costco. And the cool thing about Costco is I didn't even realize to really do a lot of filming at Costco is that they do get some really nice looking plants. I know last week we found some Monstera Thai Constellation. So we'll see if I'm able to find one. But either way, they've got some really nice plants for a really good value. I think the pricing for $15.99, for instance, this philodendron Ring of Fire is a really good deal. Now, I hope that these plants will actually sell through, just because it'd be a shame if these plants end up making it to plant heaven. There are a lot of high quality plants, and I even like that the Wild Interiors planters have a very minimalistic planter. I talk about plant aesthetics, and I really love the more simplified planters. You can see over here again, Plant Foldies. I just love yellow, neon, variegated type plants. This is another philodendron painted lady. If you don't have one of these, I know that this plant was quite uncommon about 4 years ago. It was quite a pricey philodendron, but now you can find it at Costco of all places, just a wholesale place for $15.99. And now I know that some sellers will still sell it for quite a bit, but I love the fact that Costco will sell these at wholesale pricing. It is nice to see that Wild Interiors is also sourcing these plants out for just the general public. And over here, Plant Foldies, you can see that this is an Alocasia Cuprea. Love this as well. This one is a little bit more fragile looking than the one I ended up picking up. Now, all of the Alocasia that I bought from Costco, which is a total of 3, will end up going into pond. It's going to be a semi-hydroponic growing medium once I get my pond this coming Sunday, which would be September 1st. Super excited about that. I'm currently growing one of my Alocasia that I bought from Indonesia. I imported it. It's an Alocasia scalparum leca. So we'll see how that works out. But with Alocasia, they tend to be just more of a finicky plant. They do require a little bit more humidity. You have to stay on top of their watering, and they can be a bit spider mite prone when grown indoors. So a lot of people will end up growing, Alocasia in IKEA cabinets. And speaking of which, we will be visiting IKEA just to take a look at some of the plants and planters that they have available. I also have an exciting feature at the very end of this video of some grocery store plants. We'll see if we plant some really nice looking ones, but you can see right here, this is a 2-pack. So this is one of the plants that you would get in the 2-pack for $14.99. This one by Costco is a Ficus Shiveriana. I love that, and it amounts to about $7.50 per plant. Now these plants are in 6-inch planters, which is an amazing deal for any 6-inch planter. So really like the look of that, and I just feel like Costco, whenever they actually have plants available, house plants available, they really come out with a very impactful savings. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically for these Costco plant finds, definitely check these out. This is, one of the more current videos I have. I just filmed this the other day. So hopefully you'll be able to get some of these wish list plants. And then over here is just a Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil. And I love a Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil. Very easy to care for plant. It's a plant that most people will just think of as a common plant. But like I said in all of my previous videos, basic plants, common plants are where you want to go as far as the plants you want to add to your plant collection, because when you have basic and common plants, they are easy to grow. Their care tips are a lot more manageable, and they're easily found at a big box store. So that's the reason why I feel like, a Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil, that's something you want to go with. And for $7.50, that is a really good price. I love basic plants. The majority of my plants in my plant collection, to be honest, plant foldies, are basic plants, and the reason being is I like easy care plants. Now over here again, plant foldies, I'm just digging through, and I'm that silly person that everybody's looking at, because I'm going so crazy over these plants. Like this is another Alocasia Ivory Coast. And what's interesting is whenever I do my big box or plant shopping filming, people will just walk by and just, ignore these plants, not realizing that they may have passed by a Monstera Thai constellation. And the last time I was actually filming the Monstera Thai constellations at Costco, people were just passing by a full pallet of them. And I'm just like going crazy. I'm trying to get that footage just to get everybody excited. And, plant foldies, I hope you guys are excited for this video. I know the last 2 days have been amazing. We've had 80 plus plant foldies watching the live premieres live, and I really appreciate it. Actually, the last 2 videos have really performed well, and that's because you guys have taken the time to literally just hit the like button. I can't tell you enough that if you really want to support my channel, I would hope that you would take the time just to hit the like button, because that really helps push the video out to even more plant lovers like yourself. That really gets me fired up and excited to just go out there and film, drive all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area every single day and film all of these plant shopping videos for at least an hour so we can have a plant party. But to get off on my little rant, I am still showing you guys all of the beautiful wild interior plants that I found at Costco. That one is also for $15.99, and I just am in love with Painted Lady. Like, that is such an awesome looking plant. I would just think that with Painted Lady, you really have to flood it with quite a bit of light for it to maintain its variegation. What I would recommend is really giving it a grow light if you're going to grow it indoors, or a south-facing window, west-facing window. That's where you get the most light in order for it to really have such beautiful variegation. But plant foldies, as you can see right here, $15.99 for a very nice looking Philodendron Painted Lady. And what I do like about the Wild Interiors plants is it's not just one plant. It's a minimum of about 2 to 3 plants per pot. I mean, you can see right here, this one is in Alocasia, again, Cuprea. And if I were to take this out of its soil medium, I would have 2 Alocasia Cuprea that I could potentially put in 2 separate semi-hydroponic planters. So you do get some pretty good value for it. That's another tip I would say, and I don't know if a lot of people pay attention to how many plants are actually in a pot whenever you go big box store plant shopping. I definitely do, because I like to be on a budget. With PlantCon 2024 literally 2 days away, today's Thursday, Friday, and then boom, Saturday, it's ready to go. I have been trying to get as much money saved up, because I will definitely try to have a pretty hefty plant budget to go buy some of these more rare and uncommon plants. Now, these are the bigger foliage plants for $34.99. So you got a bunch of Monstera deliciosas right over here. We've got some Alocasias of some sort, and we've got some Ficus benjamina, just a green form. So I did want to pan over here and show you that. Now this one looks like these plants have been here for quite a while. There's a little bit of cosmetic damage, and that's to be seen with some of the big box stores, especially the longer the plant stays at a big box store. You can see right here, they've got the Grande Orchid for $22.99. Beautiful plant. Now, as far as $23.99, excuse me. As far as the Phalaenopsis orchid, I think that is an okay price. I would say you could probably find a better deal at a grocery store, but you can see right over here $34.99 for that huge alocasia right there. The only thing about those big alocasia is it would be very challenging to grow them indoors without them getting spider mites. The reason being is they're just so susceptible to spider mites once they get to that size. You would really need to be spraying your plants at least once a week with neem oil or some type of pest preventative. I know that whenever I water my plants, which is, you know, maybe every couple of days now, once a week, depending on the plant, I would definitely spray them with neem oil as well, just for a preventative care. And you can see that there was a Dieffenbachia white dragon, which I hope I can find. That is a plant that I saw while I was on vacation in the Philippines. Like I say in all my videos, my family is originally from the Philippines, and whenever you look at a tropical country like the Philippines, you will see these plants growing in their most full, mature versions of themselves. A lot of these plants that we see at big box stores, whenever you look at where they're sourced from, they just get massive, and it's super exciting. Like I just can't keep, I just keep going back to that philodendron painted lady. It just has such a beautiful color. Now, plant foldies, leave in the comments if you would agree. And again, plant foldies, I love commentary, so please leave comments, not only in the live chat if you're watching this live, but if you're watching this again, I love responding to all the comments. Please ask me any questions, leave comments about what content you want to see, and just give me some insights on that. Now we're going to be going to the Costco out in Frisco, Texas. Now this one is off of El Dorado Parkway for those that are local in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is one of the more busy Costco's that I've been to, and I did go film this late afternoon to see what plants they have. So we're going to see what plants that they do have here. Rumor has it that they've got a new shipment of plants, and so we're going to see what kind of plants that they have over here. And as I walk over, that is what exactly I did here, is that they have these terrariums for $34.99. And so I'm going to try to show you some of these terrariums. They're a little bit heavy for me to pick up while I'm filming, but you kind of get the gist that they have some of these plants. So like for instance, they've got a Dieffenbachia of some sort, a Ficus tenikii, and a Philodendron moonlight in that particular terrarium. My only critique about these terrariums is these plants are going to get pretty big, pretty fast, so I don't think that they would really last long in these terrariums. I would have liked to see more smaller varieties of plants. Now this one I think is some type of alocasia, maybe an Alocasia poly in here. The kind of terrarium plants I would have liked to see would be like Pilea plants, Fittonias, waffle plants. Those are the types of plants that are a little bit smaller in foliage, colorful, and require higher humidity. Now these ones right here, for instance, I can see how, the higher humidity in the terrarium would help all three of these plants. The only problem I would say is these plants would not be able to live in that environment for a long time. I would say just give it about a month or two, but then you would have to really move that plant. Like for instance, there is a Ficus elastica tenikii, for instance, and a Dieffenbachia in there. The Ficus elastica is definitely going to grow pretty fast. The Dieffenbachia as well. The only one I would say is that philodendron that's over there, maybe the lemon lime on the far right corner, that may be able to stay there for a little bit longer. But either way, those plants are going to require to have a larger space. It is a nice concept, although I know maybe I'm being a little bit, being a little bit more critical on it, but those are plants that don't really necessarily make sense in terms of having them available at Costco in a terrarium form. $34.99 is a good price. It is a nice looking terrarium, but for the average person who may not know about plants, we might find that very cool, very enticing to want to pick that up. But then when you think about the plant care, that is that can be a little bit cumbersome, just because how do you maintain the care at this terrarium if these plants are going to outgrow their terrarium pretty fast? So that's really the only question I have. And in plant foldies, please leave in the comments your insights, what you think about it. I know that if there was a terrarium with like certain terrarium type plants or high humidity plants, like a Fittonia, for instance, some type of waffle plant, Pilea plants would work perfect. Those are the plants I would like to see. Maybe even Rex begonia or just some smaller types of begonias. Those would have been better suited for a terrarium. But for $34.99, that is actually nice price for a terrarium setup. So I'm not really knocking that price. It's just that plant foldies, whenever I do big box store plant shopping videos, you already know I like to steer people in the right direction in terms of pricing, plant care, what plants you should bring into your household. So if you are new to this channel and you haven't hit the subscribe button, I would really love for you to hit the subscribe button. Not only hit the subscribe button, but also put the notification bell on for all notifications. I will also remind my plant foldies, if you can check your subscription with me to see if you actually have the notifications, all notifications turned on. That way you won't miss a new update. Now, plant foldies, what I would show you about this again is look at how gorgeous this Ficus shiveriana is. This is another Ficus elastica or rubber plant next to a Ficus lyrata bambino. So here's the thing about the bambino. The bambino tends to be more of the compact version of a Ficus lyrata. So I will say for $14.99 for the 2-pack, huge deal, love that. And I am definitely going to go ahead and indulge and purchase that. I just talked about how I was trying to save some money. I'm telling you, after this weekend, I'm going to have to be eating ramen noodles, canned beans, things like that, just to be able to survive, because I am spending quite a bit of money at an accelerated pace. That is the plight or the burden of being a plant lover. Sometimes we get so overzealous about finding these plants because we see such a good deal, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the best influence to your plant love, your plant love, just because you guys are seeing these daily plant shopping videos. Like this right here is Scindapsus, beautiful plant for $14.99. Now with that Scindapsus, it looks like it's dehydrated. There are certain plants that will curl their leaves up, droop whenever they are ready to be watered. So that's, a feature of the Scindapsus I like, but I love yellow neon plants. I cannot tell you how much I love those plants, and that is the reason why, even though I already have a Ficus shiveriana, I want to go ahead and purchase a couple more just because I love that for my collection. So I'm thinking of getting 2-packs. One will be a Ficus lyrata bambino because I want a compact version, a Ficus shiveriana, and then a Philodendron hederaceum Brazil, and maybe another Philodendron hederaceum Brazil. We'll see what that all looks like, but I have made up my mind. I am pretty decisive these days whenever I'm gonna buy a plant. And then for those that actually tuned into my previous live premiere for the Home Depot 50% off Proven Winners video last night, thank you for tuning in. You already know I went ahead and bought a bunch of Proven Winner plants. Really good pricing for only $14.88. So I just can't help myself. That's the thing about going plant shopping. Now, plant foldies, if you've ever been in a situation where you're just inspired, you're in a store and you're finding beautiful plants like this Philodendron hederaceum Brazil, do you just find yourself shelling out all that money because you feel like you need to get the plant, because you feel like you need that in your plant collection? Leave that in the comments. I really want to know, y'all's plant insights, your past experiences with plant shopping, because I like to make this channel a very interactive channel. It's one of those channels where it's just fun to be able to talk about plants and really just indulge in some of our plant obsessions. I will go ahead and say it's obsessed because I am obsessed with houseplants. I'm obsessed with being able to film plants, to have daily plant content, at least 1 hour plant content videos each and every day, so that way I can interact with y'all and also have that live premiere chat. But for those that want to know about the care tips for this Ficus shiveriana, you definitely want to give it a lot of light. I say that in every single video that I feature a rubber tree plant, which is basically every video, but they need quite a bit of light. They also prefer a little bit more humidity. Same thing with the Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree. This one is the bambino form, so that is the compact form, but that is a plant that these both need high light. Whenever I was filming this, it's interesting because a couple of people asked me some plant questions while I was filming this at Costco, which was exciting because I really got a couple of people excited. I talked about our plant foldie community and was able to get a couple of people to potentially watch our videos on GrowFold. So thank thank you again to all of those that have continued to watch my videos, that have really taken an effort to make sure that you are taking the time to hit the like button. It literally takes half a second of your time, but that half a second of your time really rewards the 4 hours I invest in making plant shopping videos daily. That's really the turnaround, 4 to 5 hours, depending on how I go about the filming and also just the voiceover and editing. But I have shown you guys a lot of these 2-packs of the beautiful plants that they have for $14.99. I know that they had another set of 2-packs where they had like a homolemena and some other things that I regret not purchasing because they were more of an uncommon plant. But even the common plants, again, plant foldies, it's always nice to be able to bring a plant that is going to perform for you. You want to have a plant that's going to be able to show you new growth, new updates, be able to propagate them, be able to keep them healthy. And that's part about, that's part of the reason why I like to show you guys plants, because I feel like our community on Grow Folds has really grown to the point where we're there for each other in terms of being a support system, being able to share maybe some parts of our personal lives, talk about our wins with our plants. And then for those that are having a tough time, or maybe things aren't going as well for you in your life, I would hope you would utilize this channel as sort of a vessel to really just kind of inspire and keep you uplifted. The point of these big box or plant shopping videos is not only to just show you beautiful plants, but also to gather a lot of people who just genuinely like plants and find plants to be therapeutic. I know that the process of showing you, for instance, this Monstera deliciosa has been a big joy for me. It will continue to be a big joy for me. It will be something that I will strive for each and every day, just because if you guys are still engaging with me, then I will continue to do that. Now over here, plant foldies, I have shown you just a lot of the 2-packs right here. Again, it's only $14.99, and you can see right here, this is a Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil. This one is starting to trail, and what I like about this plant is the variegation can be controlled. The more light you provide it, the more yellow and streaking, variegation, whatever you want to call it, you will see, and it will actually increase the plant's vigor in terms of growing faster. So that's the thing about light. Light is super important for any plant. If you're able to give it that happy medium, a bright indirect light, you're going to get more out of the plant. I've even grown this Shivriana out in full sun. Now, here is another Costco that I did want to show you. So you can see that this Costco right here has some more 2-packs, and we're going to take a look at it. I love traveling all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you can see that this one tends to be a little bit more packed. You can see that they've got racks of it. They've got right here a Schefflera amate, I think that's what it's called. These are for $34.99. Now, these plants are actually sourced out not by Costa Farms, but Mason Farms. Mason Farms is a nursery that's based out in New Mexico, Texas. They tend to ship out a lot of these plants to the grocery stores. I know Kroger grocery store tends to have these, but look at how massive this Schefflera is right here. And the umbrella plants, I love them because they're very easy to care for. And the variegated versions, I saw so many of them in the Philippines. If you haven't already, plant foldies, please definitely check out my Philippines plant videos. It's under my playlist of plant tourism. I'd love for you to see these plants be in their full mature forms. And then this was what I was talking about. This is a homolemena, I believe. Yep, this is a homolemena. It almost looks like an Aglaonema or even a Dieffenbachia. I thought it was like the Dieffenbachia reflector, but you can see right here, this is a homolemena camouflage, and I definitely wanted to buy this at some point, but I didn't end up buying this today. But you notice how this one has a green on green variegation. It's got velvety texture, and right next to it is a Calathea rospicta. Unfortunately, the Calathea rospicta is not doing so well, and it's unfortunate that it ended up being like that. That's the sad part about the Calathea, is that it just didn't do very well in my book. I've had Calatheas in the past. I've had several actually this year. Whenever you see a big, massive Calathea for a really good, cost-effective price, you're always tempted to, because Calatheas have beautiful beautiful leaves, beautiful colors. And then for, you know, the person that may not be into plants, I will tell you, and it's just a little bit of a warning, but you know, as beautiful as the purple lavender leaves are, this plant is actually a very challenging plant to grow successfully long term. You need to make sure that you keep the soil moist. So you want to make sure that you water it when it is about half dry. The soil is about half dry. And then also make sure that you can provide it with a little bit more humidity. It also prefers light, and it's also spider mite prone. So you want to inspect the plant and make sure you stay on top of the pest preventatives. This one right over here is a Scindapsus silver satin. Beautiful plant. And the thing I like about Scindapsus is that they do let you know when they need to be watered. The only thing about Scindapsus is if you don't give it enough light, it will actually shoot more runners and not actually produce leaves. The leaves will get smaller, and that's really my only critique for it. I would say Scindapsus tend to want to grow up a totem pole or a moss pole. That's where you will get the bigger leaves and you'll just get the maximum potential of the plant. And we can see right here, this is a Monstera Thai Constellation. This one is for $42.99, and it is the final Monstera Thai Constellation I found at Costco. I'm hoping somebody will buy this Monstera Thai Constellation before it actually starts to decline in health. You can see that it looks like it is a little bit thirsty. Now, some people have asked, why are Monstera Thai Constellations a little bit more susceptible to root rot? I would say it's because it's a tissue culture plant. And to get within tissue culture plants, sometimes tissue culture plants are not as strong as like their natural counterparts. But I would say for a Monstera Thai Constellation, you want to make sure that the soil is dried out completely before you water it. But more so, if you are able to put the Monstera Thai Constellation in a soil substrate that is a little bit more chunky, more you know, more aeroid mix, I would say that that would be your best bet. Now, we also have some Costa Farms trending tropical plants right here. This is an Alocasia Jacqueline, which I purchased. Now, these ones in self-watering planters are for $17.99. And I've noticed that Costco actually has received the newer versions of the trending tropical planters. You can see that it's got more of a modern finish. I absolutely love it. I love that it's just a simple, smooth surface that's matte, and there's still several to pick from. And then obviously we've seen a lot of plant influencers, plant YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagram, plant influencers showing the ficus Aubrey trees for $24.99. I ended up getting it. And can we take a look at how gorgeous this Dieffenbachia white dragon, that beautiful variegation on the Dieffenbachia white dragon is absolutely stunning. And it is a Dieffenbachia that can get fairly large. That's actually how large Dieffenbachia can get. Now, I regret not purchasing this one because this one actually had some really good variegation. And for $34.99, that would be a plant I would take the risk of growing. Dieffenbachia are more finicky being grown indoors. They do require quite a bit of light. If you can get away with getting them a little bit more humidity, they will do better for you. And then over here, we've got a Cellum right here, or what you would call a Tomathophyllum. That one is also known by some, and I don't know if it's really the scientific name, but it's also known as a split leaf philodendron. Beautiful plant. That one can get very massive in size, but I just keep going back to the Dieffenbachia white dragon. What a beautiful looking plant. That is a plant that I need in my collection. I mean, both of these versions are absolutely stunning. Plant Folies, let me know in the comments if you would buy this Dieffenbachia. And now we're going to be going to IKEA. This one is the IKEA in Frisco, Texas. And you know, we talk about big box or plant shopping, but I also like to go to places like IKEA because IKEA has some really nice planters. So I hope you guys will stick around. I still have so much more plant content ahead of you this video. I just like to mix it up and show you different locations. But with this IKEA, my intent is to show you some of the plants that they have available, as well as some of the planters, what I would recommend. And I won't go into the IKEA cabinets because I don't have it. I do have some shelves in my plant room that I basically need to clean, start over, and get together. But you can see right here, they have a bunch of faux plants right here. So artificial plants, I'm going to show you what they look like. I'm not necessarily a fan of artificial plants. They just don't do anything for me. I like to grow plants because I want to see just the updates, how beautiful they look, and what how large I can get them. And you know, artificial plants, they just are artificial. They don't really do much for me. And so for now, we're just going to pass by, and I am going to show you some of these plants. Now, if you're into artificial plants, I would say most people would only put artificial plants in their collection if you have an area where it literally doesn't get any light. You don't really want to invest in a grow light, but you can see right here, for instance, they got some Phalaenopsis orchids. They've got some Scindapsus looking plants, maybe some fern. They've got some Echeveria or succulent plants. Those are actually pretty good looking. It almost looks like succulents, but sometimes the thing about, you know, fake plants is they really do look fake, and it's just not really for me. But as you can see here, Plant Folies, they do have quite a bit of basic plants or easy to care for plants. So we've got an Epipremnum aureum, golden pothos right here in a 6-inch planter. You can see that this one is an easy plant to grow as well. The variegaceae isn't nearly as high as some of the other ones I've seen at a previous Home Depot haul that I went to. But with IKEA, what I like is that they have plants available, and they have several planters. You can literally just drop the pot in, so you don't even have to repot the plant. Now, these are all in 6-inch planters. I like that as well. And then we also have a bunch of Lucky Bamboo, but these are really not bamboo. These are actually Dracaena sandriana, and they have a little bit of a twist to it. You can actually just grow this in straight hydroponics or water. A lot of people just have that for that feng shui vibe when it comes to their household. And you can see they've got shelves over here, and then they also have some Monstera deliciosas over here. So we'll see what other plants that they have here, but you know, you can see that they still have quite a bit of the plants that you would see at a big box store. You can't go wrong with a Monstera deliciosa. I just feel like Monstera deliciosas, even the green form, is a classic plant. And then over here, they've got some Alocasia polys. So I am surprised that they have Alocasia polys. And the reason why I say this is, as gorgeous as an Alocasia poly is, it is a little bit more challenging to grow long term. It's a plant that I feel like is spider mite prone no matter what you do. And I say this because every time I've grown in Alocasia poly, specifically that Alocasia, it ends up getting spider mites. Even though I try to look out for it, I try to provide it humidity, it just ends up appearing. And I don't know if it's in the soil or how they appear, but that is just a challenging plant. Now, all of these plants right here, these larger foliage plants, are for $24.99. So we've got some Ficus lyrata over here. We've got, or what they call a fiddle fig leaf. We've also got a Sansevieria that's available right over here. Snake plants are also marketed as an easy to care for plant. The biggest mistake I would tell people about Sansevieria is they say that they can take extreme low light conditions. They can tolerate it, but I wouldn't put a Sansevieria in a low light condition. If you're going to put a plant in a low light condition, I would recommend putting a plant like a ZZ plant. I wouldn't do it for a Sansevieria. That's just not a plant I would actually add to my collection in terms of putting it in a darker space, because I feel like it still needs more light than most people would agree. Now, I went over here to get some of my LECA, so that is why I went to IKEA, is because I did want to get some LECA. There are a couple of plants I want to convert into semi-hydroponics. I got some of these imports from Indonesia, from Green Spaces ID. You've heard me talk about it from previous videos, but I really am a fan of Green Spaces ID plants. The reason being is they do have some really good quality plants, and the whole process of importing plants from Indonesia was seamless. They came very healthy, and if you are curious about my import haul from Indonesia, definitely check that out. It's under my playlist, and definitely just check that out. And then you can see right here, Plant Folies, we do have some Costa Farms. I would say that these are actually sourced from Costa Farms. These are the 3.5-inch planters. It looks like this is a croton plant right here. And so they have croton plants. Now, the thing about croton plants, Plant Folies, again, croton plants are a plant that requires quite a bit of light. And whenever a plant requires a lot of light, I say this in all my videos, you have to make sure that you can provide them that light. Otherwise, they will decline in health fairly quickly, which means that a plant that needs a lot of light typically becomes more of a challenging plant, because not all of our indoor spaces have it. Speaking of challenging plant, we've got another Hedera helix, or what you call a Hedera helix. I purposely mispronounced it that way for those that are new to the channel because I was mispronouncing English ivy at the very beginning of my plant shopping journey tour, whatever you want to call it for YouTube, but that is a Hedera helix, very challenging to grow. And then we also have a Dracaena Florida Beauty. For some reason, I am drawn to that plant, even though I've sent 3 of them to Plant Heaven. I currently have 2 more in my collection. And then right here, we have another Croton plant. This one is a Croton banana plant. I have a love for Crotons. I've always had a love for Crotons, but after going to the Philippines and seeing them be as tall as like 15 feet tall, full-blown trees was just immaculate. It was just stunning. It was just inspiring. And that's the thing about these small little plants that we see at a big box store or at IKEA. Whenever they're growing out in the natural jungle, they end up just getting massive. And that's the thing about plant care. Plant care exists because we have to try to emulate the natural environment of the plant. It's not necessarily because the plant is what I'm needing it. It's what the plant needs to survive. But as you can see here, Plant Foldies, I have a bunch of these beautiful planters in my collection as well. You know, IKEA is one of my go-to places whenever it comes to planters. Most of their planters do not have drainage holes, but they're really meant to be what you call a catch pot. Now, this is one of my favorite planters, this brown one. And you can see that all of the planters, if you notice, are very slick, very modern, very simple, not a lot of texture, even though this Gravitas one right here has texture. I actually have that as well. Those all fit a 6-inch planter. And what's cool about it is you can just pick a plant, one that you have some idea, I would recommend, about the plant care tips. Pick a stylish plant and all of a sudden you've got a stylish setup in your plant collection. But if you're gonna ask me, Plant Foldies, I love these modern looking planters, very simple planters, very matte finishes. I like neutral colors. And then they also have a bunch of little plant shelves, plant stands that they have available at IKEA. And that's the thing about IKEA. If you want to display your plants sometimes, and actually, you know what, to be honest, Plant Foldies, that is the reason why I haven't done a plant home tour, is because I want to make sure that I can present my plants not as a jumbled mess, not as a cluttered mess, but as a place where it literally does look like an urban jungle with a lot of thought into it. Now over here, Plant Foldies, we are looking at a bunch of these Dracaenas. They call them the corn plant. So these are the corn Dracaenas. I do like the look of this one because this one actually has more of a thin cane versus a thick cane for that particular Dracaena. Those Dracaenas are super easy to take care of because they can tolerate lower light conditions. They're drought tolerant, and the pests, as far as like the pests that Dracaenas could possibly get, they are susceptible to mealybugs and potential spider mites, but they're not as susceptible to say these types of plant pests when you compare them to like a Calathea or an Alocasia. Now, all of these large foliage plants, again, are for $24.99. And I would say IKEA used to actually be a little bit more cost effective. I feel like they've gone up in price within the last 2 years. I remember being able to buy one of those foliage plants, large foliage plants, for like $16.99 years back. But now that is what is going on about that. And you can see that that is a lot of all of the beautiful Kalanchoe we have right over here. And then all of these gorgeous looking Calathea as well. We also have some more Calatheas here. And the thing about these Calatheas, again, Plant Foldies, as beautiful as they are, they're just very challenging plants. And then, you know, when I slow down and think about my commentary on Calatheas, I don't want to sound like I'm anti-Calathea. It's just that for those that are watching my channel, and I'm going to assume that a lot of our Plant Foldies may not necessarily be experts of plants. I definitely am not. I just wouldn't want to put somebody under that notion that it's easy to care for and something that you can just pick up, and we'll see what that looks like. And over here, plant foldies again, we have several of these planters. Really like the look of these, and I'm just going to show you a couple more of my favorites before we head to the next location. I hope you guys have stuck around with me. I know that we had quite a bit of plant finds for Costco, but it's always nice to find plant finds at different areas, as well as discuss some of the planters that I use. I love that terracotta planter, the brown one, and this one right here is just an absolute classic. It's only for $5.99. And then you can see that they have more plants. I'm not as big of the basket woven planters. And then you can see that they have some more of the artificial plants. Not a fan of the artificial plants, but I am a huge fan of all of the planters at IKEA. They also have some stylish looking plant holders, plant stands that I have indulged in getting as well. And I am hoping to be able to get more planters as well as stands from IKEA. But as you can see, there's still quite a bit of things available to purchase at IKEA. They do have those Bird of Paradise right over here. And what I do like about Bird of Paradise is it has beautiful foliage. It's just another plant that in order for it to really do well, you have to provide it with quite a bit of light. And then some people use these little greenhouse containers as like a greenhouse. You would just have to seal it up a little bit more to really hold that humidity. And then over here, we have some bromeliads. And again, we'll return here and take a look at some of these plants. Now, the $2.99 Dracaena marginata is a really good plant price for that Dracaena marginata. But you can see they have several of those 3.5-inch planters. I still think that those are actually from Costa Farms. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you want to buy some of these easy to care for plants, IKEA is where it's at, especially with their large foliage plants. Like $49.99 is actually not a bad price for a large Dracaena. Now, we are going to one of my favorite grocery stores to go grocery store plant shopping. I am finishing up the day by going to Kroger Marketplace in Frisco, Texas. This is right off of Custer Road and El Dorado Parkway. So you can definitely see this if you are a local plant foldie. This is a Kroger that always delivers when it comes to some of the plants. I've been able to find Monstera Thai constellations over here, and that is a place where if I'm ever gonna look for a particular plant, I've always been surprised by the plant pricing. So we're gonna go in here, and here's the thing for those that are new to the channel. Whenever you go to a grocery store, a lot of the indoor tropical plants, house plants, are always going to be in the floral section. So I like to take a look at these floral plants. Now this one right here is for $29.99. This is what you call an indoor azalea or a Azalea simpsonii. Now azaleas in general need to be consistently watered. Like, you do not want to have the soil completely dry out. Like, you want to make sure that it's maybe 60% dry. Go ahead and soak it. The roots are very fine, and if you let it dry out completely for too long, the azalea will end up just dying. It won't really recover from that. They tend to be more on the wetter side of what you need. Obviously, you don't want to overwater it to where you're also root rotting the plant, but it also needs to be watered a little bit more consistently. Now, we looked at a bunch of mums out at like Walmart and big box stores, but you can see that grocery stores have even cuter looking mums. Like, this one is a smaller variety of mums right here. Now, with mums, again, you can grow them indoors for a little bit, but they actually prefer to be grown outdoors as either in a container, or you can plant mums out in the landscape. What I love about mums is they are considered perennial plants, so they can grow back year after year depending on your grow zone. And then I also like looking at miniature roses. This one is for $9.99. The thing about miniature roses is they do function just like any rose, and care tips for roses are you need to make sure they're in full sun or quite a bit of light. You don't want to water the foliage because that actually promotes getting pests like fungus. And then also you want to make sure that the watering is consistent. So there's quite a bit of plant care when it comes to miniature roses as well. That's a plant that I don't think you can grow long-term indoors unless you have the right lighting conditions. And then you can't go to Kroger and not see that Hydra Helix. as well as this peperomia right over here. Look at how gorgeous that peperomia is. Now with peperomias, they tend to be on the easier side in terms of growing plants. So I would recommend that. Peperomias are readily available as well, and they have different types of varieties. But as far as going to a plant, you know, shopping excursion, I would even check out your local grocery stores. We often don't have the idea of actually going to a grocery store with the intent of buying plants. When it comes to me going to like H-E-B, which is another grocery store literally across the street from this Kroger grocery store, I go there to look for plants. And then as an afterthought, I do my grocery store shopping. So it's kind of changed in terms of the way I go about my grocery shopping. I want to go to a grocery shop because I want to find plants. Now over here, we've got a trailing Hedera helix, another English ivy or Hedera helix, just a green form. Beautiful plant, challenging plant to grow indoors. And then we have another beautiful mum here, and it is mum season. You know, with late summer heading into early fall, we're going to see a lot of mums. We're also going to see a lot of floral plants. For some reason, they just tend to pop up. I love the azaleas. They remind me of Japanese gardens. And, you know, as far as my aesthetic for outside, I would love to have a Japanese garden. I've been working on mine for years. It is something that I would like to be able to show in the future at some of my videos. And that's the thing I wanted to let all of our plant foldies know, is that I am intending to make more personalized content, show a little bit more about my personal plants, and kind of share a little bit more about my wins and my struggles with my plants. So definitely stay tuned for that. The bread and butter though for this particular channel is big box stores, and we'll see what that looks like. Plant foldies, you can see we've got several of these orchids right over here. I really like the look of these Phalaenopsis orchids. I would go on a limb to say that this particular Kroger tends to have very healthy looking orchids. Grocery stores tend to have Phalaenopsis orchids readily available throughout the year, which is exciting because it's interesting that their orchids tend to have blooms year round. I know that I would look at some of the Lowe's, for instance, and that's not a knock at Lowe's. I love Lowe's, but for some reason, some of the orchids at Lowe's have actually been out of commission in terms of just the blooms. You can just see non-blooming Phalaenopsis orchids, but when it comes to a grocery store like Kroger, Phalaenopsis orchids are always going to be in bloom. They tend to put them on clearance once they are out of bloom, once they're out of their prime. That's a good way to actually save money, as well as if you go to a store like Kroger, typically Kroger or grocery stores will mark down their plants as if they were produce, just so they can sell them through. I feel like their clearance plants are not necessarily on the brink of going to plant heaven. So if you are wanting to save some money and you're willing to travel around and check out some of these grocery stores, I would do so. There are about 4 Kroger grocery stores within a 10-minute driving radius for me. So I'm constantly in these stores checking out these plants. But as far as like Phalaenopsis orchid care, if you like orchids, you want to make sure that you have them in a soil medium that is orchid bark. You want to water them when they're completely dry. They tend to like to be more so on the drier side. I wouldn't repot them immediately. I would wait till they actually lose their blooms before you repot them. That way we don't stress out the Phalaenopsis orchid. It does take a while for the Phalaenopsis orchid to rebloom. For instance, I have a Phalaenopsis orchid that is a variegated form that I'm waiting to hopefully have it rebloom. But for now, while it's dormant, I have been feeding it with some Phalaenopsis orchid fertilizer. Phalaenopsis orchids also like more acidic type soil, so you can actually promote better growth with that. And then I did want to show you this. This is really interesting, and while some people might not think so, the fact that I can find Sansevieria Golden Flame for only $13.99, that is a really good price for a Sansevieria Golden Flame because it does have some gorgeous bright variegation. It's not the typical Sansevieria trifasciata that you would typically see at a big box store and this is also sourced out by Mason Farms. That's the reason why, if you made it this far into the video, Plantfoldies, I really appreciate it. I just love the fact that you've been able to see some of these plant finds, as well as finding Epipremnum aureum Enjoy. You know, I love Enjoy pothos because of that white cream variegation. Beautiful plant. It's a plant that we definitely would love to be able to add to our collection. Any pothos plant, Plantfoldies, like I said again, you want to go ahead and add to your plant collection because they are easy to grow, they're easy to propagate, they're readily available. They are a basic plant in many ways, but they have basic care needs, which simplifies, you know, your plant care, you know, routines. And that's really what happens with a lot of us, is our plant care routines tend to get a little bit more muddled once we get more plants, but basic plants make it easier. Here is another Sansevieria. This is a Sansevieria moonshine. So love the fact that we found another type of Sansevieria plant here. This one is a moonshine. And the thing about moonshine is, while they say snake plants are low light tolerant, here is a prime example of a snake plant that if you do not give it enough light, it will become more green versus a nice silver bluish tone. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of the lighting conditions for that. Same thing with the golden flame. Like, I am almost tempted to purchase a couple of Sansevieria. We'll see what we are looking at right over here. Here is a gorgeous Hoya Carrii that I love as well. Look at how gorgeous this Hoya Carrii is. Again, this is another Hoya Carrii that I would add to my collection. I have the variegated form, and this is only for $13.99, which is a really good price for a Hoya Carrii. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have bought this, because look at the how happy this Hoya looks, because it's already pushing out some more new growth. I am excited to become a Hoya head. I feel like I'm about to enter my Hoya era. We'll see what that looks like at PlantCon. And again, Plantfoldies, if you are watching this video, if you made it this far, please make sure you have hit the like button. I know that I've repeated myself quite a bit of times, but you know, I am not ashamed to ask for your help, because I've realized that the likes really do help grow the channel. And if you do like this content, definitely just validate me by making sure that you're hitting that like button. Now, as far as PlantCon, again, Plantfoldies, super excited. We will be meeting at Peta's Planters around 11 a.m. on Saturday, August 31st during PlantCon. I will be wearing my Growfolds t-shirt. I have 4 different versions of it. And so if you're interested, please send a direct message to me. They are for $20. And then for those that aren't able to make it to PlantCon, I am working on a merch store to where I will be able to try to ship out these merchandise to you. I'll actually have some more products that I am in the works for. So we'll see what that looks like. But as you can see here, Plantfoldies, even though I featured a lot of the same plants from Kroger grocery store, there is something about the plants from Mason Farms that I enjoy. And it's the fact that, like this one right here, beautiful Croton Petra, $9.99. If you want smaller plants for a smaller space, I would definitely recommend buying Mason Farm plants. They have many varieties. And what's interesting is that they have these plants that are readily available. I also love the fact that they can just be seen as a plant that we can grow in smaller spaces. Like here is another Sansevieria right here, beautiful Sansevieria. I think this is called the Sansevieria Victoria. What's interesting about Mason Farms is that they have some interesting names for certain plants. Like for instance, they have what they call a philodendron white measure, which is basically a highly variegated philodendron Birkins. Now over here is a Fittonia plant right over here. No, actually not a Fittonia plant. This is another plant that I like, the polka dot plant, sorry, polka dot plant. And then over here is a Hedera Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix. This is a variegated form for $9.99. I believe this is the Gold Baby Hedera Helix, one of the more common Hedera Helix. But even though it is a common plant, that one, for instance, is just going to be more challenging. I will say, Plantfoldies, though, that I ended up getting a new Hedera Helix in my plant collection. Honestly, it was actually gifted by one of my employees for my birthday. I just haven't really revealed it, and you will see a little short clip of it we'll see what that looks like in, you know, on my Instagram reels. Definitely check that out. And then we'll see about all of the other plants. But I love looking at all of the plants that Kroger has. Like right here is another beautiful calathea. This is called a Calathea lancifolia. Beautiful plant for $19.99. And again, this is a plant that I would definitely recommend purchasing for anybody that's into these beautiful calatheas. But just know with caution, it is going to be a challenging plant to grow. And then over here, Plant Foldies, we have another peperomia. I think this is called a gray ghost. I'm not 100% sure. If you know the actual plant ID, Plant Foldies, please leave that in the comments. You already know I'm not an expert. And then I ended up buying this a little while back. This is another philodendron gold imperial. I love this for $9.99, and it was actually a really good plant find. Like, I always find that these plants, these philodendrons, are a good plant find at grocery stores. They're easy to take care of. They're ones that I would recommend for anybody that loves houseplants. And then here is a beautiful peperomia watermelon, and I love a peperomia watermelon, only for $9.99. So I actually have a variegated version of a peperomia watermelon, and it is living its best life. It is actually from Peta's Planters. And again, I talk about Peta's Planters quite often because I truly believe in that small business. They have such awesome plants, and I just love Lupita and her partner David. They've always been so kind to me. If you haven't checked out those videos, I do have a playlist with Peta's Planters plants. And in Plant Foldies, check out this peperomia obtusifolia marble, and love that variegation. What I find interesting is they have these highly variegated plants but they're very cost effective. Then you have some of these other variegated plants that cost hundreds of dollars. I really want to know what warrants why a certain plant ends up being a little bit more expensive versus some of the plants that we can clearly see have beautiful variegation. You would think that this plant right here, for instance, would be a highly sought after, highly expensive plant, but you can find it at a grocery store. And I'm going to pan over here. There's just another table of plants that I did want to show you guys in Plant Foldies. I hope you have stuck around this long because there's still quite a bit of plants I wanted to talk about. You can see here, we've got a beautiful calathea. We've got a beautiful dracaena here. And this large dracaena, I believe, is for $14.99. That is such a good price, Plant Foldies. And I think this is called the Dracaena Riki. It might be the Riki. I'm not 100% sure. And then we have some more Mason Farm plants here. So we've got a Epipremnum aureum. Actually, it's not aureum. It's an Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu blue pothos. Now, this is a plant that is endemic to my home country, the Philippines. I am proud to say that that is actually a plant that you can find all over the Philippines. And it's interesting because this plant used to be an uncommon plant, quite expensive. But now it is a plant that is readily available. Now with the Cebu blue pothos, it is not as tolerant from drought conditions. So you want to keep that watered a little bit more consistently, and you need to give it a lot of light. Otherwise it will shoot runners. Just a couple of my care tips for that. And then we also have what you call a Hoya carnosa, Crimson Princess. This one is for $13.99 by Mason Farms. So Mason Farms, as far as just the plants that they have available, I would definitely recommend them. I would definitely take a look at the plants. Like this one right here is a Trending Tropicals plant by Costa Farms. This one is only for $16.99. So as far as the most inexpensive Trending Tropicals, even Kroger's beats Costco. Costco had them for $17.99, but Kroger has them for $16.99. So it's interesting that even a small grocery store would be able to beat a wholesaler like Costco. And that is why I always tell Plant Foldies, if you are a fan about trying to save money on plants, definitely subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on. I literally am in a big box store video, grocery store, local plant nursery in the DFW market every single day. And that's the reason why it's so exciting to have you guys on the live premieres interacting with me. I feel like whenever you guys show up, on the chats, it just really validates the fact that my efforts are appreciated, and that just brings me even more fuel. You know, there are times where I'm really tired from work. Like for instance, as I edit this video this morning, I will have to go into work and work until later this evening. But knowing that I can, you know, continue to film plants and have that available for you really does bring me a lot of joy. And you can see here, that is another Sansevieria. This is a Sansevieria whalefin, another plant that used to be quite uncommon now that you can find at a grocery store. It looks like it's about to grow a little baby. And so there are several little plant finds you can find at a grocery store. I always say it doesn't really matter the size of the plant shop. It's really the impact of the plants that you have per square footage. And what I mean by that is, even though you have a small space, but you have several plants to pick from, I would rather have that than to be in a big box store, or not even a big box store, a plant shop that has like all of this space, but you're just seeing rows and rows of maybe pothos plants. And I don't mind that as well. Like, I love pothos, but the fact that I can pick up another peperomia, like this is a peperomia camouflage. We just saw a Hoya, we saw a Sansevieria. There are just so many varieties. And I hope that Plant Foliage, you do have Kroger marketplaces. The regular Kroger stores may not have nearly as much selection, but if there is a Kroger marketplace, they tend to have more plants available. Like, for instance, this is another Philodendron Imperial Red. That's what they say, or Imperial Gold. But I think it's just a neon colored plant. So either way, it has some good yellow foliage, and I love that for this particular plant. You gotta love all of the neon foliage plants that we have readily available. It's one that I feel like everybody should have in their collection. So if you like this video though, Plant Foliage, please hit the like button. I will have another exciting big box store plant shopping video tomorrow, and then a bunch of PlantCon videos. So this is Richie at Grow Folds. Please subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.